now with an interview that I did with Bernice Corcoran. Um, I would really recommend you to listen to this interview because Bernice is a most interesting person, not only in her talent as an artist, but in her great love of the countryside around us. And she'll take us up a few boreens and in and out of townlands that maybe we hardly knew existed. So here's my interview with Bernice Corcoran. Tasbántas únta chun sása lorlan ar in seachtaine le Bernice Corcoran agus tá mid chun féchant inis an na pictúraí atá le feiscint an sa istíg. Buineann siad le sin áit seo, le sin tír agus leis na cuilte agus leis na sléite mór himpeall oring an sa I má chroma agus in glán na lia. I want to welcome now Bernice Corcoran here to our local television. Bernice, you're very welcome indeed.
Thank you.
And I know your exhibition is here for all to see in Macroom Library. Well done. I've been going around the pictures and you might take us on a little tour of them in just a moment.
Okay.
But first of all, Bernice, just talk to me about your inspiration. What is it that inspires you to paint and draw and do what you do?
Where I live,
Yes.
the landscape. I love it. I don't really question it, so I've never really thought about that. Nobody's ever asked me that. I just love it, and I love being out in it, and I like to go to places where a lot of people don't go, and so I always try to bring back something to show other people how beautiful it is.
Yes. So you sort of you don't fly along in a car.
Well, I do, but I don't fly along. No, I go fairly slowly. I prefer walking or cycling if I can.
Yes.
But obviously weather is a problem there. So, yeah, generally, yeah, I've been over every square inch of the countryside around Macroom. I guess I've been everywhere. I've been to
Yes.
every townland in the district, I think.
And it has really inspired your paintings down through the years, hasn't it?
It
The
has,
landscape.
It has, yeah,
Yeah.
that more than anything else. And I still haven't been everywhere. There's
Yes.
still loads of places to
Yes.
go to.
And you're finding loads of you're finding interesting paths and tracks.
Yes, I love old roads, old bohers, old schlees,
Yes.
the old drovers' roads maybe that were there long ago that people used.
Yes.
And I was on one this morning up on top of Umara actually,
Yes.
and it was amazing at 8 o'clock this morning on
Right.
this beautiful frosty day.
Yes.
And I just love, I suppose in a way it's a kind of a romantic thing, thinking of the past and all the people who used these roads, and it would go through my mind when I'm walking along about the people who used to use them and how they used them.
Yes, give me an example now of how people used maybe some of those tracks or roads.
Well, a lot of those tracks and roads are always in high areas, on hilltops and traversing hills and going from one townland to another. In I think hundreds of years ago, the valley floors were so thick with woods and forests and wild animals, wolves, that sort of thing, that people stayed away from them. All our roads today, all our main roads, travel along the valley floors, but in olden days, the way people travelled was over hills and mountains.
Yes.
You know, so all those old paths still exist.
Yes.
I've often walked through fields and come to a ditch, and lo and behold, there's a stile going over the ditch. Not a wooden stile, but actual stone steps made into the ditch to take you over the ditch down the other side. So obviously that was a path that was
Yes.
used.
So I presume that these paths would have been used maybe for people bringing cattle to the fair.
A lot of them, yeah, would be drovers' roads, bringing cattle into Macroom, so there would have been roads and pathways that they would have used.
Yes, and people going to mass on Sunday maybe.
Mass paths are another one. There's a beautiful old path going from Carrigafuka to Clondrahood.
Yes.
Takes you up over Killiclog and Curra and down to to Clondrahood. And across the river there was a tiny little footbridge crossing the river, but that's gone now, that's been washed away. But the little path that takes you up over Curra into Carrigafuga is still there.
Yes, it's very interesting.
Overgrown in most places, but if you try, you'll find it.
And when you say if you try, you'll find it. Now, if somebody is living, for instance, in that locality and they say, look, I'd like to go out and find this.
Yes.
It's not that easy.
No.
Are they on maps at all?
The only maps you'll find them on are my favourite maps, the Ordnance Survey maps of 1840, 1830, 1840.
Yes.
They're all on that, all the old pathways, all the old footpaths
Yes.
and roads. Of course, they've fallen into, they're not used anymore, and rights of way obviously have, they don't exist anymore for a lot of them because they haven't been used for so long.
Yes, yes. Now, I know that you're also very interested in place names, and particularly the place names of the townland, and you've done a particular study of these, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've been studying it for the last I've been studying it for 12 months, really. But the townlands, the names of the townlands in the area are so descriptive.
Yes.
They describe how the landscape is, whether it's rocky, whether it's smooth, whether it's wet or by a river or whatever. So they're wonderful. They're almost like paintings in themselves because they describe a place.
Yes, and of course they're in anglicised.
Yeah, today
Irish and Gaelic.
everything is anglicised, so it just kind of almost in a way it doesn't matter how you spell it.
Yes.
I live in Kilnagarteen, and every letter I get usually has it written differently.
Yes.
But all the townlands that we have today come from the Irish words.
Yes.
Just but if you say them in English, it's the sound of the Irish.
Yes, yes. So if we're talking about Inchinishingon, which is
Inchinishingon, that's a lovely one.
Isn't it a lovely one?
Yeah, the inch of the ants.
That's right.
Yeah,
lovely.
that's Inchinishingon. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And Farn of Aragon.
Yes.
That's right next to it.
Yes.
The land of Aragon.
Yes.
I'm still want to find out who Aragon was, but
Yes.
it was it would have been somebody important.
Yes.
That's right next to it.
Now, we're going to have a look at this map, Bernice, which you found that the Ordnance Survey maps for the Macroom area, there is a problem with them.
Macroom lies, like number 79 is usually the one you get for Macroom.
Yes.
And that's the Ordnance Survey maps are all numbered.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, though, Macroom is right down on the bottom right-hand corner of that map. So if you want to look at Coolcower on that map, you'd have to get the next map up to go
To get it.
to get that part. You'd have
Yes.
to get 4 different Ordnance Survey maps to get
To
the
cover
full
the area.
surround of Macroom.
Yes, and you've addressed that problem somewhat because
I
you've
worked
actually
from
spent a
those.
lot of time with this particular map,
Yes.
which
Yeah. Well,
has the town lens on it.
I've always loved maps.
Yes.
Since I was in school, I loved map making.
Yes.
And I have this. I always like to know where I am and which direction I'm facing and where the river is and how many rivers. There are 5 rivers around Macroom. I think a lot of people might not actually know that. So
Yes.
if you want to go to a river, you've got 5 different ones to choose from.
Yes.
But I love map making, so I decided I'd lay out a map that would show me all the surround of Macroom.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So
and
you've
the
ma-
roads.
Yes, and in fact these maps are going to be available to the public at a
Yes, I
small
am.
charge.
Yeah, I hadn't intended that, but so many people were really interested in them. So I'm making laminated copies of the map for anybody who wants one. Laminating them because it keeps them clean.
Yes.
And so if anybody
And
wants
all of
them,
practically all the significant, well, not significant,
No,
all of the
all
townlands
of the
virtually
townlands
are here.
It is sometimes within a townland. There can be subdivisions of a townland, like different fields have different names. So I haven't put those in. It would get too full if I had to put all of those in.
What I think might be a very interesting follow-up to that then, for the next 2 years, I think a year is it? It's taking you to
taken
do
me a
this.
year, yeah.
Okay, well,
basically.
could I recommend your next year's work now that you've started on the map making business? if all of the townlands were taken, and maybe at the back in the future at some stage to put an explanation of what each townland is.
That is what I want to do. I'm just studying it at the moment.
Yes.
P.W. Joyce, a very famous man who wrote a book at the turn of the 20th century, The Townlands of Ireland and Their Meanings. So I'm studying that book, and I am going to put in the meanings at the back. I want to expand the map and put in all the archaeological and historical features worth visiting as well in the area.
Okay, so that's Tower Ibra and Son. That's great work altogether, Bernice, and that is a very valuable tool. Where will it be available?
Well, it's available from me. I've left my phone number here at the library,
yes.
And also from this one outlet in town where it will be available from,
yes.
and that's from Cost Cutter Supermarket in Masseytown.
In Masseytown, okay, and it will cost?
It's €10
€10
for a laminated copy.
Absolutely great value,
yeah.
I have to say.
They're hand tinted as well.
Your hand?
Yeah, I use the pigments that I use in my paintings to hand tint them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in fact, it will make it nice. Not only is it a map, but it would be a lovely thing to put on a wall, wouldn't it?
I would like to do a much bigger version, a one-off one,
yes.
that is purely for hanging on the
up.
wall. Of course, it has all the roads as well.
Yeah.
So with this map, you could never get lost.
I think we're all sort of a little bit amused when a new curate comes into town and he has to read out the station list, and I think the particular one that causes problems is Conakina, Cutting, Shanakeel and Crochaneal.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, they're up there north
of
the town.
Over the other side of Umara.
Conakina, Cutting, out the Rasheen Road. there. Conakina, Cutting, Shanakeel. Because those station areas are together, the three townlands.
Of course.
So it's quite a mouthful for anybody who comes in, and I think we all sort of, being smart Alex that we all kind of wait to see how he'll get on with the pronunciation.
I bet.
They're very good in
Corcoran de Bay is another lovely one.
It is,
I think it means the bog of the Raven. The little bog of the Raven.
Yes.
Marshy area.
Lovely. Now, this is one reason why I suppose we're speaking to you today, and the other is because of your exhibition here in the library.
Yeah.
And you've done some fascinating paintings, and I gather you're into a new technique as well.
Yeah.
Now, maybe there are just 7 pictures here, so maybe we could go through them maybe without. Well, let's talk technique first.
Yeah.
What is different about these?
Well, the last time we spoke, it was to do with my exhibition in the
Under Cultura.
In a Cultura in Balvorne,
yes.
And it was called Bora.
Yes.
And it was all about old roads. And the technique I used on those pictures was drawing with pigment. I love drawing. I've always drawn, and of course I started with pencils and that, but I've moved on to pure powder, graphite powder first, and then pigment powder. So all those drawings were done with pigment powder, which is this medium here. It's what all paint is made of. Paint is made of pigment first.
It's just
foremost.
powder, isn't it?
It's just powder, round powder.
And what's it ground from?
It could be from a mineral, for example.
Yes.
I think back in the Middle Ages, when
Renaissance painters,
for example,
for instance,
they had their,
pestle and mortar, maybe.
But they had
somebody
in the corner doing that for them.
Yes.
Spend the whole day grinding up to make a particular color, and then it was added to, say, egg to paint on the walls.
Yes.
But so this is the basic medium of paint. So, but I like to use it directly because I like dry things. I like earthy things. I think so I never liked to use paint as such before. Anyway, I started drawing with this stuff. And then last year in 2012, I was drawing on canvas, and I wasn't happy with the outcome, and I took a large paintbrush and dipped it in water to wet the canvas so that I could wash off the pigment and start again. And the pigment mixed with water, and I had a sort of a eureka moment, and discovered painting
Yes.
with pigment
In that way.
in that way. Yeah,
Very good.
just mixing it with plain water, and painting on canvas. On paper, I can put it on anything,
Yes.
any surface.
Right. So let's go through the paintings then, and maybe talk us through them a little bit. Painting number 1 is hanging here behind
Yeah.
us.
All the paintings here in the library on show at the moment are, with the exception of one, they all come from one townland, which is Anahala.
Right.
And a lot of people would know that as the Gera. The
Yes.
Gera is in Anahala townland.
Yes. Okay.
And so number 1 painting is it's pigment on canvas. Now I paint on the pigment, and then I rub it off. So I use a lot of rubbing and scratching. So painting number 1 is from Anahala, and it's a winter painting.
Yes.
I love the winter colours. I think Ireland is very colourful in the winter.
Yes. Yes.
In summer, it's beautiful as well, but it's all green.
in a
But
different
in the
way.
winter, you get all the beautiful colours. So,
Nice
so
textures.
the Gera is lovely in the winter.
Yes. So number 2 then is also the Gera.
Number 2 is also the Gera.
Yes.
The low water in the Gera.
Yeah, it's a sort of unusual. Like there's nothing you haven't looked for what's might call classic beauty, sort of
I guess
shot
not,
in the arm
well,
beauty. It's a
I'm-
different kind of beauty, isn't
Yes,
it?
I'm not looking for the pretty
twee ones.
sunsets or the rising sun. Some people like that. I can find beauty in a very simple thing, and it's not just beauty, but something that'll fascinate me.
Yes.
It could be something very small, it could be something very large, it could be something that other people might find ugly.
Yes.
But I think there's beauty in everything.
And have you used that technique, that pigment technique with water mix on that painting
Yes,
number 2
I have.
as well?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. Now it seems to be in
all of
contrast
them
with
here.
number 3 there, which seems to have stronger colours.
Yes.
This painting is related to some of those.
That's
those-
the painting number 3 is the Old Quarry Road in Anahala.
Right.
There's
Where does that run from?
It runs from Quarry Crossroads, which would be the centre of the Gera. Do you know?
When you cross the Guera.
When you go across the causeway
Yes.
and you come to a kind of a crossroads.
Yes.
It was a crossroads. And that's Quarry Crossroads.
Yes.
Because the quarry would have been on your left.
Yes.
Now it looks just like a lake.
Yes.
But it is a very deep quarry.
Yes.
And if you turn right there, it takes you up into Anahala.
That's up towards the pitch and putt course.
Yes,
and
it'll take
around
you.
the road there.
It'll take
Yes.
you up into that part.
Yes.
But there were other little quarries along there as well,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all flooded now.
Okay, so that's that
so
particular
that's-
route.
Yeah, yeah.
And what time of year is that?
That's during the summer. That's why the
It's
the
green.
greens are so vivid.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And the other Gera one next to it is very muted in
Okay.
colour.
So number 3 then is.
And
a
number 3,
different-
you see, I go to the Gera. I could be out there first thing in the morning, at all kinds of different times, and you know it yourself. You've been
Yes.
out there. If you go there in the morning, you can be completely shrouded in mist.
Yes.
It might only be one colour,
Yes.
but different shades of that colour, and that imprints itself
Yes.
in me. I love that. So painting number
Number 3
4.
here. Well,
it's number 4.
it's number 1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3,
4.
4.
Yes, yes. It's number 3 on the wall, I think. But that's fine. So that's a kind of blue then, isn't
Yeah.
it? Is it blues
It's a
and
grey
greys?
blue. Depends
Yeah.
on the day you're out there. It could be a grey day or
Yes.
but the light has an amazing effect in the Gera coming through the mist.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Okay, so going on then to number 4 is
Yeah.
it's a bit daunting,
a
is
lot of
it?
people would find that very dark and,
Yeah, it's a
and
bit daunting, I
disturbing.
think.
But I love black. Obviously, I started drawing. It was always black.
Yeah, it's not my favourite now, I have to say.
Yeah,
But that's me.
I'm sure
It's
it
a
wouldn't be.
personal
I'm sure
statement.
most people wouldn't like that one.
Yeah. It's
Again,
ominous, isn't it? It's Lord of the Rings, is it?
yeah, I mean, the Gera isn't always a pretty place when you go there. It can be a fairly dark and dreary place as well, depending when you were there or what you're looking at.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before one time, and I don't think anybody has researched it, but I think that Tolkien's book, The Lord of the Rings, it has been said that he visited Ireland, you know, and that that book was inspired by the route between the Guerra and Sheep's Head. The whole movie thing. Well, I mean, it became a movie afterwards. Yeah. Now, I don't know about the veracity of that, but it seems that if you look at Lord of the Rings, it certainly mirrors the whole track down through
that kind of a landscape.
That painting. In many ways, you know.
Yes.
When it becomes ominous, the dense forest and the kind of
well,
kind
if
of
you've ever
forbidding.
been, if you've ever been into the Gera proper, like further up the river where it's fairly inaccessible,
Yes.
you can just go in around the edges of that, and
Yes.
that's a very, very dark. I've been in there.
Yes.
I've been in there. I was in there a year ago, and I got a little
scary.
bit frightened because I couldn't find my way out.
Yeah, there are lots of streams and there.
I could see my way out. I could see the light. I could see the field where I had come from.
Yes.
But I couldn't reach it because everywhere I turned, there was another stream, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I've canoed up there.
It's a dangerous place to
I
go.
mean, it is,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
there isn't really public access as such to it.
No, you'd have to know where you're going.
Okay,
and
so
go in there.
the next picture to that is more or less the same, and then the last picture in the collection, which is another road, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the old road going over Slavine. It's the picture is titled From Slavine East to Malacanish. You're looking from Slavine East towards Malacanish. So
Right.
if you it's up behind the school. It's up behind Oak Grove. Will be that part of Slavine East.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's just a track goes up halfway.
Right.
And you can't go any further. It goes into farmland.
Yes.
But that's taken from the top of the track.
Right.
You walk all the ways up.
Okay. Okay. So, Bernice, this is a very very stimulating collection of pictures,
you.
I have to say.
Yeah. Well, we do live in one of the most beautiful parts of the world.
We do really, don't
And
we?
people don't realise it, I think.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I think we do.
It's-
But we do.
Yeah. How long will this exhibition run, Bernice?
It's running until Easter, until the end of the month.
The end of the
So
month.
I think the library probably will be closed for Easter weekend, so maybe the Thursday before.
So people need to get in to
Easter.
see this
Yeah.
now, don't they?
Yeah.
And I know that the paintings are for sale as well. Obviously,
yes,
there is
yes, they
a
are,
catalogue here, and
Yeah.
it gives
Yeah.
information on that,
Yeah.
doesn't
Some
it?
are not for sale.
some are not?
Some are not for sale.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You keep your favourites, do you? The ones that maybe tell you a personal story.
Well, it's very hard to sell some of them sometimes,
I
you
can
know, but it
imagine.
takes a while.
Yeah.
You know, you have
yeah.
to let them until I've done something new again, and then I can let them go.
Yeah, okay. So Bernice, thanks very much for coming
very
in
welcome.
and
It was very nice
taking
to
us
talk
through
to
this
you.
very,
Thanks
very
very much.
inspiring journey around our locality, and indeed don't let the time pass without coming in to see these lovely paintings, and don't just come in and look at them. Come in and stay with them for a little while. Think about them. Sit here with them. They really are wonderful. It's a lovely, lovely experience.